So you are an NBA Africa player. So what is like a typical day like for you?
A typical day for me now is I wake up 6 a.m. I go to my first workout, train. After my workout, I do some yoga. Then I go to my lift. And then I go to my second basketball training for the day. And then after that, I stretch again. And then I wake up and I repeat the cycle over and over and over.
So you are from DC, but you've been living in Cape Town for the past 2 years.
Yes.
What is it like for you living on the African continent? What kind of change was it to see what life is like there?
Surprisingly, it wasn't a major adjustment for myself. Cape Town it's like Malibu, California, so you have the beaches, you have the party life. So you have literally everything that you might, have here. So it's not a big drop off or decline at all.
So you have a really unique viewpoint because you were raised in DC and
Yes.
then you just went. So now that you're living in Africa, what do you think is one of the biggest misconceptions Americans have about Africa?
The wealth gap would definitely be the number one. It's a lot of capital in Africa. I think we grew up on a perception of Africa as lions and scarcity, but that is complete opposite because it's actually full of abundance.
And you're in Cape Town, which is so thriving. I mean,
Exactly.
design, entrepreneurship, it's buzzing.
Exactly.
It's, but what was one of the things that surprised you most about Cape Town? Because there is poverty as well, but you can see that Africans are really trying to bring up their brothers and sisters there.
I think in Cape Town, they're very big on entrepreneurship out there as well. And they really do a good job of, uniting each other when it comes down to the business aspect of things. So you might have, a person that owns a store here and then his cousin might own a store down the street. And that's a very unique feel because in America, it feels like a lot of times we're very, separated. And in Africa, they're very united, surprisingly. So it's an awesome fit.
So you're an NBA Africa player.
Yes.
When you're walking the streets, you must see tons of young people looking up to you as a role model, wanting to be you. Give me a sense of what is that like?
For me, it's a great feeling. It's an honor. I worked very hard to put myself in these positions. So every day, carefully, I make sure I make the right decisions. I make sure, I speak to the youth. I make sure I spread the messages and try to be the role model that I wish I had growing up,
Right, because with this fame comes a lot of responsibility.
Exactly, precisely.
And what are those kind of messages that you are trying to impart on the young people?
So my biggest message right now is, being your own boss, right? Using your brand, whatever your brand is, your image and likeness, to your best of your ability, monetizing yourself. Because at the end of the day, no one's going to work harder for you than you. So I like to spread different messages like that. Of course, the typical, work hard, stay diligent, show up early, make the right networks and connections. So it's all the little valuable things that will carry you far in life.
And what is the response that you get from these young people when you're interacting with them?
That's a great question. Honestly, at first it's a little shock because when they talk to me, they're like, man, they're so surprised that I'm so cool. Like I really, have in-depth conversation. I'm never in a rush. You can ask me anything at all times. So it's really an honor. And for the kids, I know they take my messages very, very seriously. So I'm very precise on how I deliver and what I deliver.
That's so great that you are approaching this so intentionally.
Exactly.
You said you're trying to be the mentor that you never had.
Exactly.
So, but tell me, you must have learned from somewhere these ideas that you're now imparting. So what is one of the biggest or the best piece of advice you personally have been given?
Wow, that's a very deep question. I think the best advice that I have been given is to monetize myself the best way I can, right? Especially when it comes down to the athlete side of things. A lot of times, we as athletes don't know how to really use our image and likeness to our benefit. Maybe it's the organization, or maybe it's the fans, or the writers, or the reporters that may throw an image around there. But if you're able to really, build on yourself, like for example, I'm in the NBA Africa, right? I use my publicity in the NBA Africa and spread that message back to the community in my investment firm. So I use my platform so I can teach kids financial literacy, economic structure, entrepreneurship, those type of things, because as athletes, we are the role models that people actually look up to. They really care about what we have to say, right? So it's all about the message that I'm delivering. So I guess, a two-part answer to that would be intentional. Yeah, be intentional.
That's such a great message.
Yeah.
So you were an NBA player first and then an entrepreneur, or
Overseas,
which one came first?
So I was overseas first. After I left college, I went straight to Asia, and then from Asia, I went to the BAO.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And so now you're an entrepreneur. What kind of industries are you getting involved in?
Right now, I have an investment company in both countries, Africa as well as America. We teach financial literacy, which is what I pride myself on. Financial literacy, the economic structure of Africa, agriculture, and serial entrepreneurship without being too long-winded. But we're attacking a lot of literacy, right? Because that's where I feel the need is, not just in Africa, but our entire diaspora.
Absolutely. And when you come back home to DC, are you educating people here about Africa?
Of course. I'm educating people about Africa, about everything that we spoke about, you know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, that message is needed.
And so, living in DC, going to Africa, you see the energy there. Do you feel like now this is Africa's time on the global stage?
I feel it's been Africa's time for the last 5 years, me personally. But, I think people, even in the airways, you go everywhere, one thing you hear is Afrobeats. So it's the little things that we have to pay close attention to. It's a lot of capital that's been surged to Africa as well. So it should tell you everything you need to know in terms of Africa is the now.
And what, in your opinion, makes Africa unstoppable?
I would say the untapped potential. A lot of countries have been, 300, 400 years in. Africa, realistically, is only 40. So it's so much untapped potential and so many other things that, we can build on to make Africa, like you said, unstoppable.
And so let me ask you the flip side of that. What do you think is one of the biggest obstacles facing Africa?
I think one of the biggest obstacles is them trying to find capital. So they have the resources, but we have to do a better job of uniting different global countries or continents, really, India, China, and America. We have to do a better job of working together so we can try to scale Africa the best way we can instead of trying to work individually in different pockets.
And we're seeing a little bit of that happen. There's going to be a US-Africa summit happening later this year in DC. What is your message to those leaders who will be meeting there? What do they need to do to benefit the young people on the continent?
I'd say a message would be, one selfish message would be to come talk to me as well, because I feel like I'm one of the leaders of the new school, right? Because a lot of times, if you're trying to attack the youth, you need the youth, right? So it's hard for, a 70-year-old man to lead a 15-year-old kid and actually want the right response from him, right? As opposed to me being 25, I can make things a little bit more relatable. So at the end of the day, we all win, so.
So where do you see yourself in like 10, 15 years from now?
10, 15 years from now, definitely a billionaire, but that's the number one. But I see myself.
Manifest it, brother.
Yeah, for sure. But I definitely see myself as a world leader. Of course I'm an athlete, but I do so much more, on the philanthropy side of things, on the education side of things, and I feel like I'm a leader at the end of the day. I'm able to use my voice, and people love to hear what I have to say. So if I keep coming with major substance and major change, the sky's the limit.
I couldn't agree more. I think that you are educating kids financial literacy, but you're also they're doing what you do, not what you say.
Precisely.
So as an athlete, taking care of your health, like working out, that's fantastic and good for you. I'm very proud to see you as an African, doing this for other people. I do have one question for you. I just need to know, you're an athlete, you have this crazy workout schedule. Please tell me you have a guilty pleasure. What is it like? Do you stuff your face with pizza? What is it?
Well, currently I'm vegan. So I try to stay away from the gluten. I think my guilty pleasure, maybe candy. Surprisingly, I have a little sweet tooth. I have to cut it out completely from my diet, but I'm currently off season, so I try to sneak it in there every once in a while.
All right, so now for all his fans out there, if you want to get to him, it's candy.
Yeah, just a little candy, nothing too crazy,
Wonderful, thank you so much.
Thank you
It's
for having
so
me.
great to hear the work that you're doing. This is so great, honestly.